Chapter 5, The Severance Package. Early the next morning, an unwelcome guest arrived at the St. Clair estate. Hudson. Sloane's fiancé, and the fiancé who was contractually supposed to be mine. The guy looked the part, bespoke suit, hair slicked back like he was auditioning for American Psycho, but his taste was absolute garbage. As soon as he walked in, he saw me heading out to work, actually to the library to steal their AC and save electricity. Hudson wasted no time. He pulled a check from his jacket and flicked it at me. It fluttered to the floor like a dead leaf. $5 million. Take it and bounce. I don't love hillbillies. Hudson looked down at me, radiating arrogance. Sloane was standing at the top of the stairs, giggling behind her hand, waiting for me to be humiliated. I bent down and picked up the check. I scanned the numbers, signature, and watermark. Verified. Then, I pulled a small notepad and pen from my bag. One moment, Mr. Hudson. I scribbled a few lines, tore the page out, and handed it to him. Hudson automatically took it, glanced at it, and froze. What is this? A receipt. I smiled, my standard customer service smile. Since you paid the severance fee, we need to follow protocol to avoid future economic disputes. It states that I, Riley, received $5 million from Mr. Hudson to voluntarily terminate the engagement. Transaction complete, no refunds. Hudson looked at me like I was an alien. You're just taking it? Why wouldn't I? I carefully tucked the check into my book. It's normal. Forced relationships are unproductive. Plus, this relationship came with a $5 million exit bonus? That is an industry-leading severance package. Mr. Hudson, you are a generous client. I added a helpful suggestion. Do you need a formal letter of appreciation sent to your office? Or maybe a LinkedIn post clarifying that I simply wasn't qualified for the position of your wife? Hudson's face turned a deep shade of purple. All the insults he had prepared were choked off by my receipt. Chapter 6, Asset Transfer. With $5 million in the bank, my posture significantly improved. Money is the best chiropractor. I didn't go on a shopping spree. Instead, I immediately invested in a few high-performing stocks. When I got home that night, the atmosphere in the St. Clair house was heavier than a funeral. Mr. and Mrs. St. Clair were on the sofa, and Sloane was wiping away tears. Seeing me, my father slammed his hand on the table. Riley St. Clair. Have you no shame? You actually took Hudson's money. Sloane sobbed dramatically. Riley, did you come back just for money? If you're broke, I can give you my allowance. Why did you have to insult Hudson's love for me like that? Insult his love? By accepting cash? I changed into my slippers, walked to the center of the living room, and pulled a custom engraved plaque out of my bag. I had it rush ordered this afternoon. Gleaming brass mounted on dark walnut, the elegant engraving read, "Thank you for taking the burden. Wishing you eternal happiness." I solemnly handed the heavy plaque to Sloane. Sis, I took that money with a clear conscience, I said earnestly. Think about it, the engagement was originally mine. Now it's yours. The $5 million is basically a transfer fee. In this economy, even taking over a lease requires a fee, let alone acquiring a premium asset like Mr. Hudson. Sloane stared at the cold, corporate plaque, turning green. She didn't know whether to take it or not. Mr. St. Clair's hands were shaking. You treat marriage like a trade? Marriage is fundamentally an economic contract, I said with a straight face. Since Mr. Hudson was willing to pay a premium for true love, if I didn't accept it, wouldn't it imply his love was cheap? I looked at Sloane encouragingly. Sloane, your love has a market valuation of $5 million. You should be proud. Most people's love is only worth a dinner at Olive Garden. Sloane let out a wail and ran upstairs. Mrs. St. Clair pointed a trembling finger at me. You are going to be the death of me. I blinked innocently. Mom, I'm just protecting my sister's brand value. Chapter 7, Brand Management. Maybe as a form of damage control for Sloane's bruised ego, Mrs. St. Clair decided to take us shopping this weekend. Nominally, it was to get me some clothes. In reality, the moment we hit the mall, Mrs. St. Clair dragged Sloane straight into the luxury boutiques. Sloane, baby, this dress is so you, she cooed. And this bag is the new season drop. It would look amazing on you. I was basically the unpaid intern carrying the bags, trailing behind them. A normal person might feel jealous or tempted to max out a credit card in retaliation. I just watched Mrs. St. Clair swipe her card with the detachment of an external auditor. It wasn't my money, so it wasn't my problem. However, when Sloane reached for a canary yellow dress, I couldn't stay silent. It was a visual crime. Stop, I stepped in. That color is too high saturation, it washes you out. Pivot to the dusty blue one. It complements your undertones and accentuates the waistline. Sloane looked at me with suspicion. You? Being nice? I'm doing it for the St. Clair brand image, I said with a straight face. You are the face of this family franchise. If you look tacky, the perceived value of the family name drops. As a stakeholder, I have a fiduciary duty to maintain brand equity. Sloane, half believing me, switched to the dusty blue dress.
This young lady has an incredible eye.
Mrs. St. Clair looked at how pretty Sloane looked. She had intended to cold shoulder me, but now she clearly felt a pang of guilt. She picked up a t-shirt from the clearance rack. It was out of season, and the fabric was already pilling slightly. Riley, why don't you try this one? Most girls would throw it on the ground. I took the shirt and checked the fabric composition label. No need to try it on. 95% cotton blend. Breathable, moisture wicking. Perfect for manual labor or household logistics. Thanks, Mom. It's highly functional. I wasn't being sarcastic. I genuinely appreciate utility. Mrs. St. Clair's hand froze in midair. Her expression was a masterpiece of internal conflict. Guilt is like a spring mechanism. The more you resist, the more the other person feels entitled. The more compliant and sensible you are, the more the other person feels like a monster. Right now, Mrs. St. Clair definitely felt like a monster. Chapter 8, Risk Assessment. Back at the estate, Sloane was clearly upset that I had stolen her spotlight today, even though I considered it unpaid consulting work, not a spotlight. She needed a villain, and she decided to manufacture one. She deliberately yanked Mrs. St. Clair's favorite pearl necklace until it snapped. Clatter, pearls scattered everywhere across the hardwood floor. Then she screamed, "Riley! Why did you push me?" I was standing at least 6 feet away, drinking a glass of water. Mr. and Mrs. St. Clair rushed in, seeing the mess and the crying Sloane. Sloane pointed a shaking finger at me. Riley said she was jealous that Mom bought me stuff, so she pushed me and broke the necklace. This low-level framing tactic was an insult to my intelligence. It was sloppy execution. Mr. St. Clair glared at me. "Riley, I am so disappointed in you." I didn't argue. Arguments are he said, she said. I prefer official documentation. I put down my water glass, sighed, pulled out my phone, and dialed 911.
911, what's your
Yes,
emergency?
dispatch? I need to report a domestic disturbance involving intentional destruction of high-value property. The value is significant, likely a felony amount. Please send an officer to process the scene. The whole family froze. Sloane forgot to cry.
You called the cops? When a crime is committed, you call the authorities. That is basic civic literacy. Private arbitration is inefficient.
Let the professionals dust for fingerprints and check the security cams. It will be very clear who touched the necklace. Mr. St. Clair rushed over to grab my phone. Are you crazy? We don't air our dirty laundry in public. I dodged him with agility.
Dad, this isn't dirty laundry, this is due process. If I did it, I'm willing to go to jail.
If Sloane accidentally fell, then she is filing a false accusation.
That carries legal liability, you know.
She just wanted me to get scolded. She didn't plan on catching a felony charge.